Echo, the 5 episodes, doing what Disney Plus has not yet done before, which is dropping all 5 episodes at the same time as opposed to week by week. And now we know why they did that. Came out last night. Now, to give you a bit of background as far as my relationship with the Echo show, I thought they did an absolutely horrible job introducing Echo in the Hawkeye series. I thought, here's a character that could be very interesting, very unique, very cool. And they just in general wrote a very dull and unlikable, frankly, character in the Hawkeye series. So I had very little excitement or any interest whatsoever in the Echo series. And I know a lot of you guys felt the same. But like a lot of you guys, when that trailer dropped, I'm not saying that suddenly made me believe the show was going to be great, but it took me from zero interest in that show to interested in this show. That trailer was bonkers. And man, did Disney lean into it. This show is so dark and gory and adult, you gotta remember to go into your parental settings in Disney Plus and change it to TVMA because it's so hardcore. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Monster truck, skrr. I mean, and they tried to sell this narrative that this was going to be the grittiest, goriest, hardcore action brute fest you could possibly imagine it was going to be. And they also leaned into the fact that this is also going to be a real great examination of this Native American culture. I'm going to refrain from trying to name the name of the tribe because I've pronounced it like 8 different ways.
Choctaw.
What's that?
Choctaw.
Yeah. So, and I don't want to disrespect it by mispronouncing it. So they gave this promise that it was going to be really a cool cultural exploration as well, and all this kind of stuff. This show sucks. It sucks. And it does a couple of things well. And let me touch on the things that I think it did well. The first thing that it did well that I really noticed, and I'm not saying this sarcastic, I mean, I truly applaud how they pulled this off. Unlike a lot of the other MCU stuff coming out now where you have homework you have to do if you're going to understand this show, they use the first 10 minutes of episode 1 that if you never saw an episode of Hawkeye and you never saw an episode of Daredevil, it didn't matter. They made sure that if you had never seen those other shows, you were good. Because I'm watching this and they very succinctly, not with all the nuance, but very quickly and very succinctly ran over. Here's how Maya thought about Kingpin. This is the role that Hawkeye had to play in that. This is what changed Maya's outlook towards Kingpin and ultimately ended with her shooting Kingpin in the face. A very minor injury, as it turns out, in the MCU. Somebody being shot in the face, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And within 5 to 10 minutes, they did a great job, not a good job, a great job of making sure, hey, new audience member, didn't watch any of the other stuff? No problem. Let us set the table for you. And they did a wonderful job. And I felt like even if I hadn't seen any of those other shows, I was right there ready to go. So honestly, bravo to them, because Marvel has proved that's not easy to do. And they did it, and they did it well. And I think that was great. Another thing that they did pretty well was 2 of the action sequences were quite good. There was the one action sequence that was in episode 1 that they used to plaster all over the ads and misled you into thinking this was going to be a nonstop action-packed series. It is not. But those action sequences they had were pretty good. And I want to give them kudos, and I want to give them credit for that. After that, however, you had a slogging, slow, at times painful to watch series that centered around, quite frankly, still quite an unlikable character in Maya, played brilliantly, by the way, but an intrinsically unlikable character. And this promise that they gave about it's really going to go into the culture of this native tribe, it never does. They touch on the Genesis mythology that this native tribe has, but they never go into the culture. What does a community of these folks look like? How does the relationships and the communities and their culture that they have shape the actions of what's going to transpire in this movie? Something like, what's the name of the Harrison Ford movie when he's amongst the
Witness.
Witness. Like what Witness did, right? Witness actually gets you into the culture of it, and that becomes a prominent part of how the story unfolds and how the character evolves. There is none of that. It's just another grandma. It's just another pawn shop owner. It's just another childhood best friend. Because other than the Genesis story that they kept retelling of the genesis of their race and everything, they really don't go into the culture. And I thought that was a big missed opportunity, other than to say, hey guys, we're going to have a powwow. Other than that, I thought it was a massively missed opportunity for an MCU show to really go in a different direction, dive into the culture like they did in Witness and stuff like that, make that a part of Maya's evolution. But they didn't. It was really just Vin Diesel going, family. That's ultimately what it was. Now, I'm going to warn you that even though there's not a lot to quote unquote spoil, Iron Man doesn't show up, ladies and gentlemen. Like, there's not a lot to spoil here. I am going to go into a couple of the details because I really kind of partially want to save you from wasting your time on this show. The first thing that I found utterly ridiculous was they never explained. I thought at some point they would explain in the show, hey, how did Kingpin survive that gunshot to the face? Are you going to touch on that? There must be like some deep narrative, maybe even some kind of MacGuffin is going to be in here to explain how did Kingpin, with a gun 2 feet from his head, being shot in the face, how do you survive that? Nope. Never once touched on it.
McClunky.
McClunky is exactly it. Never once touch on it. He's got, but John, he's got a Band-Aid. See, he was hurt. Okay. All right. So they never touch on it at all. How did you survive a gunshot to the face? And then as it turns out, later, Kingpin decides to take off the eye patch, and I'm expecting to see some maybe cybernetic implant, maybe some glowing red power thing, like he made a deal with Mephisto. No, his eyes a little boo-boo. He got the boo-boo around the eye, a little bruising, some scratching around the eye, but his eye's fine. I didn't realize gunshot wounds to the eyes heal. I didn't know that. I don't need to go to medical school. I got Echo. Shoot yourselves in the face, kids, because you'll be fine. It's just crazy. And one of the other things is they reduce Kingpin in this show to a sniveling, whining, overly emotional reacting. Like, now listen, in the Daredevil series on Netflix, Kingpin could get emotional, right? But he was always calculated. It was focused rage. It was like, because when he decided, you hurt Vanessa, heaven help you, man, because you're done. You're done. But this was like, oh no, Maya, just come home. Oh no, Maya, I forgive you. Oh no, just come home. Come see me. Let's have dinner. Gonna have dinner. Great. Come see me at the casino. Great. Come at the casino. Man, I really hope you come to meet me on the plane. I want to give everything to you. Oh, she didn't show up to the plane. I'm going to kill her family, and I'm going to punch her grandma in the titties, and I'm going to blow up the powwow, and I'm going to do blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And then ultimately, it ends with ghosts and superpowers. It ends with grandma going, wait, my hands are glowing. I'm going to fuck some shit up. And you got Adam West, pow, bang, popping up all over the place. Ultimately, this childhood friendship that they haven't seen each other since they were 4, and there's somehow magically some deep bond between. It is just such a ridiculous,
could happen,
nonsense, garbage show. It was just terrible. And they, by the way, this whole thing, make sure you reset your TVMA. It was that bullshit. This show is PG-13 at worst. There's like one scene of a dead guy laying down with some blood on his face. Okay. A snapping neck. Okay. This was a PG-13 show at worst, but they so leaned into this bullshit. Everybody get ready for the dark. Hide your kids, hide your wives, because this is only for the goriest, the most hardcore, biggest testicular fortitude of men because it's so violent. No, it's not. No, it's not. This is yet another... Listen, Marvel has had some big wins since Endgame, in my opinion. Guardians 3, WandaVision, Ms. Marvel, Shang-Chi.
No Way Home.
No Way Home, clearly. I thought Loki Season 2 was an improvement on Loki Season 1. Marvel has had some big wins, but this is yet another entry to add to the pile of just disappointments to me. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Harry's. You know, guys, in order to start the John Campea Show, I had to leave my high-paying corporate job in order to set myself up to be happier and enjoy more personal success. Because sometimes to get what you want, you have to challenge the status quo and blaze your own trail. And that's exactly what the folks at Harry's did. You see, at Harry's, they saw customers getting ripped off by questionable products in the shaving industry and decided to do something better. Harry's decided to pave their own road by making beautifully designed razors for a fraction of the price of the other big brands. Exceptional products, honest prices. That's Harry's. I have fallen in love with Harry's, from their foaming shaving gel that feels just luxurious on the skin to their incredible razor that feels just as good in the hand as it does going over your skin. They've got rich, lathering, skin-softening body wash in scents like redwood, wildlands, and stone. You see, Harry's provides German-engineered blades made in their own factory that stay sharp longer. You can get a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. Don't settle for the status quo. Blaze your own trail with Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/Campea. That's harrys.com/Campea for a $3 trial set. Anyway, that's kind of my take on it. Rob, you had a chance to watch it. You watched a little more than half of the series so far. Where have you been left so far?
Well, this is the thing I guess I don't understand. This sort of Shakespearean father-daughter family element to crime drama is something that we have seen for decades, decade after decade after decade after decade. And the thing is, the relationship between Kingpin and Echo was something that should have been, I think, much better. It should have been much more Godfather-esque. It should have had much more resonance. And I felt that when you're watching something like this, I felt like, gosh, it wasn't inspired. I didn't get anything new from it. I felt like these were well-trodden crime movie genre tropes that they didn't do much new with. I really did like some of the things they did with ASL. And how the sign language and showing,
I agree. Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting when they talk about, giving representation to people with disabilities or challenges, however you want to call it. I always like it when you get insight into what is it like to live in that world. And they did some really interesting stuff with Echo to speak to that, which I thought was definitely inspired. But the actual story itself, we've seen done so much better in so many different places. And that's the thing. I mean, one of the things I really loved about what the MCU did was it would take like a heist movie, but then they would give us Ant-Man, or a 70s political thriller would become Captain America the Winter Soldier. And they were really great at taking different kinds of genres and giving it their own MCU twist. And I thought I was kind of looking for that with this. And I felt that it was one kind of cliche after another. And I felt it was entirely uninspired. And that bothered me.
Yeah, and again, I'm just not quite sure. I just think you had a lot of the right pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought, listen, Echo could be an immensely interesting character. Taking her back to her culture could have been an immensely interesting thing. But at the end of the day, it was a show of covering a lot of ground that they already covered in Hawkeye. Oh, I'm connected to Kingpin, and I'm mad at Kingpin, but Kingpin wants me on his side. It's like, we covered all this ground.
Yeah.
And you shot him in the face, which was apparently no big deal. And then it came down, it's just supposed to be this more gritty street level kind of thing. But at the end of the day, the movie gets changed because she has a 10-minute conversation with a ghost and gets superpowers. It was just, and ultimately it was about save the powwow. I mean, save everybody. It's literally a big bad guy is literally sitting on top of an RV in clear sight of anybody who's bothering to look, and just pulls out a big bazooka. I'm going to shoot me this thing. And a guy shoots him. And that's some big resolution or something. It was just so badly to such a missed opportunity. There's so many cool ways it could have gone. It's just, at the end of the day, Rob, to me, this series did not live up to the promise of that brilliant trailer. Because that trailer was brilliant.
It was.
Got me on board.
And again, I just think that the talent involved in terms of the conception of the story, I think where it really fell down was, like you said, they had all the elements. It was, for me, the writing. It was the writing and the story. I just felt that it was uninspired, and it was a real missed opportunity because, like you said, they did have the elements.
They did. Yeah, they had all the elements and just didn't do anything with it. And I don't know. I think this is the last we're going to see of Echo. I don't know that they're going to do anything more with it again. But, hey, listen, to be clear, the last I checked, it's gotten the high 60s of a critic rating. Now, granted, those critic ratings are only based on the first 3 episodes.
Right.
But still, high 60s. So more critics like it than don't. So just take my opinion as one opinion. All right. Mine and Rob's, ours is just one set of opinions in a plethora seascape of opinions out there. You may be somebody who enjoys a show. I hope that you do. I'm going to be jealous if you do, because I wish I could have liked it. But yeah, remember, ours is just one opinion. It just happens to unfortunately be a pretty negative opinion on it, but that's that. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.